I think that for one, it's in terms of the society as a whole. This package sends out a very important message that that the seniors are not a used and forgotten segment of the society. They are an important and integral part of a society. That the Singapore government and society looks at aging as part of the life cycle. That these are people who once contributed significantly to Singapore's growth, except that they were in a social and financing environment that's very different from today, and hence there is a gap indeed to bridge, and this package serves to bridge that gap. But it also means that society is prepared to provide for these seniors. There were some concerns whether this may send out the wrong signal, that it would take away some of these obligations from families and children. I think that on the contrary, this is a further emphasis of our Oriental roots of looking upon filial piety as a virtue. Within the family itself, there are still obligations of children, grandchildren towards their seniors. But they're not alone. The government is in it together with them, and so that it doesn't become a task that is too insurmountable. And it would also bring the young and the older together in this intergenerational sort of compact, to say that you are not competing for resources. On the contrary, there is an appropriate sharing of resources to recognize the contribution of this generation, who are kind of caught because they transited from an environment where some had no MediSave, and where in the past costs were very different, on a very different scale. They transited from a third world to a first world through a series of very successful public health initiatives, and then very successful tertiary care system in the hospitals. What is needed now is, number one, a emphasis and transformation of our primary care, to say that that is actually the area of care that caters to most of the Singaporeans. Secondly, I think these, whether it's primary care, tertiary care, community care, intermediate long-term care, they have to be closely integrated. Because what happens is that as the seniors transit through the different phases of their old age, they would have different needs. So what is important to recognize is that the seniors package is just the healthcare financing aspect. We need to also make sure that the range of services there for our seniors, and there should be better integration of health and social care services, because when you're old, your social care needs and your healthcare needs are quite closely intertwined, and so that it becomes a system that is easy to navigate for the old folks, and they can get to the right care at the right place without having to knock on the wrong door. I think one of the first things I guess I have to mention, which I see quite often, is that that many of the younger persons, especially the children of these seniors, too easily assume that our seniors are less educated, hence they cannot understand some of these treatment decisions and the intricacies, the risk benefits, and so forth. And hence you find that the seniors are left out of that dialogue to decide on treatment decisions and the management plan. I think that besides being disrespectful, it also leaves out the most important person in that whole process. One of the first thing we need to do is to not assume that they are, they lack that ability to participate in the conversation. In fact, on the contrary, I think they are wiser, and they know themselves better through the years. They should be encouraged to voice what they feel is better aligned with their own desires and goals of life, so that we can make healthcare decisions that are more consistent with their needs. The second misconception is that a lot of times people think of old people as too old to benefit from any healthcare intervention. I think the key here is actually to individualize and to contextualize. The seniors should receive care that is appropriate to their functional needs and would improve their quality of life and better still quantity of life. But I think, and there are interventions that would contribute to that are sometimes too easily dismissed by people simply because the patient in consideration is 80 over years old and so forth. Some of these interventions do not need to be high-tech interventions. It could just be vaccinations, receive the right dietary advice, and exercises. These are things that certainly will be of benefit to them. And so we should take the right perspective and dismiss that ageism that sometimes is too that colors our judgment.